Do you sell it after turnover? Jen, that is a very difficult question to ask. Our formula, whenever somebody wants to buy, we sell it to them. We don't play hard to get. Like in the past few years, when the China came in, and there were a lot of mainland Chinese wanting to buy, we sold it to them at a good price. Nung may Chinese na gustong bumili, the more they don't want to sell. Ay, ang daming gustong bumili. Hindi mo na ako magbebenta, sayang. Pero nung pandemic na, Carl, wala nang gusto bumili. I want to sell my property na. Parang human behavior yan eh. But you have to counter the nakasanayan natin na culture. If somebody wants to buy it, somebody wants to give you the money, we give it to them. That's how we do it. Over the past, yung nagkaroon ng peak in Pogo, we were able to sell a lot of the pre-selling condo that we invested upon turnover yun. But the question, Jen, is, it's unpredictable. You cannot predict if in 4 years, meron bang bibili ng condo. You cannot predict. That's the difficult part. You cannot predict if at the right time on June 2028, meron bang bibili. Pwedeng meron, pwedeng wala. What are the factors if your property is unique? Diba? Like in the middle of the pandemic, we were able to sell also one property, pero ang view kasi niya by the ocean. We put it out in the market, and it's a pandemic. It's a 3-bedroom, a big unit. During the pandemic, there are some people saying na, hala, ayoko ma-stuck dito sa condo ko na walang view. At the end of the day, Jen and guys, the product has to stand out. Diba? Just like any food. Ba't ka bibili ng regular na cake? Kung pwedeng itong special cake na mas masarap. Sell upon turnover. If may buyer and you make good money, why not? I will take this mindset from my stock market friends. Diba? Carl, do I sell my ganun at this price? A gain is still a gain. Do you rent it out? Okay, Jen, this question comes out a lot of time. Do you sell or do you rent it out? If you sell, you get cash back. Masarap ang feeling, di ba? You go to Glorieta, you go abroad, before you know it, kalahati na lang yung pera mo. If I have the chance, I would prefer to keep it because of passive income. Kasi alam mo, I tell you guys, there was one transaction before, 2008 BGC, 2.8 million na deal. So we bought it, 2.8. The person who sold it to us bought it for 2.5. So how much did he make, Paolo? 2.8 na binenta, 2.5 na binili. 300,000. It's a pretty good return kasi at that time, reselling lang yun at maybe na cash out niya 500k lang. So wow, di ba Paolo? 500k made 300,000 back. So when we purchased that property, we said, okay lang. We're gonna do the slow burn. Ika nga, the slow burn, the long haul. We were able to rent it out for 30,000 a month. BGC, 30,000 a month. This was at the onset, at the start of BGC. There was low supply and the buildings were pouring in, high demand, low supply. 30,000 a month. In 1 year, Paolo, how much income?
300,000.
Very good. Paolo, guys, palakpakan niyo naman si Paolo.
Hindi ako prepared sa quick maths.
Diba? Ang sabi na nga nila, you cannot have it all. Diba? Either magaling ka sa math or pogi. Eh, Paolo got the looks eh, diba? Going back, 30,000 a month. How much did it make in 1 year? Times 10 mo na lang kasi you have to pay dues. 300,000 a month. 300,000 a month, you let it run for 10 years. How much is that? 3 million pesos. So now, would you want to sell it and make 300? Or you want to keep it for 10 years and make 300 every year for 10 long years? And then eventually, we were able to sell it out for 5-point-something million. On top of the 300 a year na passive income. Diba? And it also depends on our personal situation. If we need cash, there's a buyer, we sell. If ang sagot namin, pag binenta, saan mo lalagay yung proceeds? Meron, paglalagyan, sige, sell, hanap ng iba na mas mura, let it run. But of course, if you keep on selling, tatagal yung passive income mo, which is the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is when you're 40, 45, 50, 60, you have 10 income-producing property. Let's say at 50,000 each, 10, that's 500,000. Every month, nagkokolekta na lang tayo ng rent. Mahihirapan tayo ma-reach yung passive income goal if we keep on flipping and selling.
We have an interesting question naman from Jeff.
I already bought a townhouse back in 2018 through Pag-ibig Financing. Malapit lang naman somewhere in Bulacan, and I'm considering na ipasalo or assume balance na siya as I found renting more beneficial on my current situation in the next coming years. So I'm not really familiar with pasalo, and I hope makaingi sana ako ng insights coming from you if it's advisable or not.
Anything that's below market value and it's a good product, it has to be a good product. So, hindi lahat ng pasalo ay good. So, yon. Like, I have friends before na, uy, Carl, ang mura ko nabili tong property na to. Fixer-upper, aayusin ko to. After 4 years, hindi pa rin na naayos. Sometimes kasi if it's too cheap, wala rin market who will buy that. Kasi yung market na nandun, maybe they also cannot afford it. So may ganun din. You want to make sure you're targeting your clientele na can afford. Wag na wag tayo mabablindside na ang mura eh. Binili ko na sir kasi ang mura yung pala. Nakalimutan natin yung product.
Ito, Sir Carl, what are your thoughts on buying foreclosed properties?
Very similar to Jeff, anything that's cheap, below market value, and you're given a long payment term, it's always good. Basta lang maingat ka na the product that you're buying is good. The next question will be follow-up. What are the factors that you will say makes a good property? There are two kinds of property buyers. Either you are an investor or you are an end user. If you are an investor, lahat ng criteria has to be for yourself. Kailangan medyo selfish ka. So, kung malapit ba sa family mo, malapit ba sa church mo, malapit ba sa school, sa work, sa comfort zone mo. Everything has to be about you because you are an end user. If you are an investor, everything has to be about your renter. Malapit ba sa potential market ko? May mag-rent pa dyan? At this price point, safe ba dito? So that my renter will want to buy it. So if you look at it, Paolo, I just mentioned two criteria and I did not say anything about price. Diba? Kasi product has to be number one. The product has to suit yourself or your tenant. And if you want to move it to a higher level, if you want to buy something for selling in the future, you also have to identify who is your target client in the future. For example, you buy a townhouse or a property na foreclosed. Uy, mura to ah. Ganda pa yung payment scheme. Pag inayos ko to, pinaganda ko to, it's satisfying the middle market. Double income na nagtatrabaho sa, let's say, Mandaluyong, and they can afford an extra housing income of maybe 10,000 per person, so 20,000 a month, kaya nila. And they will be able to loan from the bank around 2 million pesos. So that's how you analyze your buyer's profile. Pero it's nothing new, guys. Hindi naman to rocket science kasi if you are selling, bibili ako ng isda sa source in the fish area and idadaling ko sa Metro Manila, ipapackage ko ng maganda, ibibenta ko sa mga mayayaman na ayaw pumunta dun sa mababaho na fishery. That's very simple. And papatungan ko ng 20 pesos per fish. It will still be within the price point of my buyer. Do you prefer rental income versus flipping? Ayun na nakwento ko na yon. Yung rental income nga is, it will sustain you as you grow old. Flipping, pag medyo magkamali ka lang sandali, diba? Patay. Or medyo mag-pandemic, walang bumili sa property mo, you're gonna be stuck. Pero I tell you guys, during the pandemic, those with rental property, those with good rental property at may tenant, walang umalis sa mga tenant nila over the past pandemic. They stayed long. So either dalawang pwede mangyari sa atin during the pandemic. Either vacant ka, you become further vacant. This is a good question, Paolo. People are asking me, Carl, na-affect ba yung rental market over the pandemic? The answer is yes, definitely na-affect. Kasi biglang nag-stop yung movement eh. So guys, I'm teaching you how to analyze the market. Nag-stop yung movement ng tao. So, if you're vacant for 2 years, pandemic. But if you are leased out, most likely, your tenant, if you don't get BS, di sila alis. They will happily stay in your unit. That's why in my 6 steps to renting out your condo, the last advice is taking care of your tenant. Huwag natin kakalimutan, it's not all about the money. It's not all about na once you get the check, you don't take care of your tenant. Your tenant, guys, is like your goose. Now, what do you do, guys? If you have a goose that lays you the golden egg, aalagaan mo yung goose mo, di ba? You make sure na protected siya at you will take care of that goose para every month bibigyan ka na ng golden egg na rental.
Sir, if I don't have enough capital, kasi sabi niyo nga po, di ba kanina, properties, that may excess money, sa tingin niyo po ba, good ba mag-invest sa REIT to be my second option?
REITs is not a property product eh. REIT is like a stock market product kasi you don't own the property. So personally, I'm not a fan of REITs, but I've heard of friends who got REITs and they were able to do well with some of the REITs. That's how I see REITs. Kung konti lang yung pera mo, then it's okay, I guess. Habang pinapalaki mo yung pera, it's good for learning. Kasi once na bumili ka ng REITs, you start to get yourself accustomed to what's happening in the office market. So I guess from that point of view, learning, it's okay. The biggest strength kasi of property is the jackpot component. Sabi nga ng aking kaibigan si Floy of TGFI, di ba? Safe investment, you have emergency investment, you have cash flow investment, then you have your jackpot investment. Meron ka dapat investment na pwedeng mag 10x, pwedeng mag 50x down the road. Sabi nga ni Rex Mendoza real estate, yung pinaka-weakness niya, it's not liquid. Di ba, hindi mo siya madaling i-dispose when you want to. But if you think about it, it can be an advantage. Because it's not so easy to sell, you hold on to it for 20, 30 years. Guys, I hope you learned a lot today, especially in mindset. Alam mo, Paolo, there's no right or wrong answer. Diba? There's always like how you analyze it.
Yun, Sir Carl, meron tayong super final question ito na yung pinaka-last from the audience. Singit ko lang, kahit basahin ko na lang.
Habol.
So from Irina, so sabi niya, "Hi Sir Carl, if someone used their home as their collateral sa utang nila sa amin, pero di na nabayaran, ano po yung mga steps o yung mga process na need namin gawin?"
First of all, I want to thank you na nagpautang kayo. Meaning, during the time of parang meron siyang sitwasyon, they're going through something, you were there to save that person. Unfortunately, sabi nga ni Jason Lo, di ba? Wag tayo magpapautang. Kung ayaw mo ng kaaway, wag tayo magpapautang. Unfortunately, that's how life works. No? Tumulong ka na lang, tumulong kay Rina, eventually, mapapasama pa tayo. But, if there is kasulatan, then okay, that's good, step 1, di ba? If nakaslagay naman dun sa kasulatan na if they are not able to pay, you are down the new owners. That's number 1, that's good. Number 2, if the person will honor it without a struggle, you pass number 2. Siyempre, hindi naman palagi guys na yung kabila will acknowledge it. They will not all the time acknowledge. They're freely returning the property to you. That's why yung word na automatic ba, yun yung medyo delikado, Paolo. I've seen those kinds of arguments before. So, I think you are right, Rina, na pag nakasulat naman, technically dapat sa inyo, but kailangan nag-uusap yung dalawang party. Kung hindi nag-uusap yung dalawang party, I think we should call a lawyer na to go through the right motions. Hindi siya basta-basta eh. Then lastly, Rina, ito share ko lang with my minimal knowledge. I'm not a lawyer now. With my minimal knowledge, the official transfer of property will need a signed deed of sale. I'm not sure if you have that. Yung iba na magagaling, they have that in place. Nakasign na yung deed of sale. So if you have the deed of sale in place, the original title is with you, it will be nice na may courtesy. Guys, Rina and everybody here, mga ka-Investagrams, if tayo naman yung nakakaangat sa buhay, we always extend kindness. Diba? If we are financially up in life, we extend kindness. Sometimes, there will be no logic to it. Parang hindi mo makonect na parang tama ba to? It doesn't sound right. So we extend kindness. Meaning, if we are about to kunwari get this property from another person, make sure lang na we give them a soft landing. Either you give them some financial money for them to be able to move on with their life. Never put them out na talagang gipit na gipit sila. And I always say na in negotiations, never push somebody up against the wall na wala silang exit. If they're pushed up against the wall at wala silang exit, they'll be forced to fight you back. But if you push them out the wall at merong way out, you allow them to exit gracefully, with honor, with grace. And at the end of the day, we all win. And si God na bahala sa atin. Maraming salamat mga kapatid.